It started as a normal Tuesday evening, the kind of late autumn dusk where the city seems to hum with a nervous energy, air cool and dry, streets dimly lit under flickering yellow lights, and the sky already inked with shadows. Mark, a 32-year-old systems analyst, had just finished a shift at the downtown office and decided to walk home instead of taking the usual metro. Maybe the cold air would help clear his head after a day of debugging endless lines of code. He took a route he rarely used, through the older side streets of the city, a shortcut that cut between abandoned buildings and crumbling warehouses left to rot after the area's industry died out. His phone was at 5%, but he wasn't worried. The area had changed in recent years. Some spots even had new cafes and artist studios, though most of it still looked like a ghost town. As he passed a narrow alley choked by overgrown weeds and graffiti-tagged dumpsters, he heard something, metal shifting like a lid being dragged across concrete. He stopped, instinctively clutching his bag tighter, scanning the shadows. Probably a rat, he thought, until the sound came again, deliberate and slow. He turned and kept walking, slightly faster now, and was nearly out of the alley when he heard a whisper, close like it came from behind his right shoulder. Mark. He froze. Nobody should know his name. He spun around, heart kicking into overdrive, but the alley was empty. Empty, but wrong. The air felt thicker now, heavier, like something unseen was pressing down on his chest. He pulled out his phone to use the flashlight, but the screen went black as the battery died. Damn it, he muttered, picking up his pace. The shortcut suddenly didn't feel smart anymore. He exited the alley and crossed into a wider street flanked by dark tenement buildings, their windows hollow, lifeless. As he passed under a flickering streetlight, he heard it again. Mark. This time it came from above. He looked up, and for a second, he saw what looked like a silhouette crouched on the edge of a rooftop watching him. It was gone in a blink, but he was sure it was real. He broke into a jog. Every window seemed to be watching, every flicker of shadow in the corner of his eye pulling his attention just long enough to make him question what was real. He stopped to catch his breath near an old payphone covered in grime. That's when he noticed the posters stapled to a nearby pole. All of them were missing persons, each with the same wide-eyed, terrified expression. One of them looked a little like him. Too much like him. Same jawline, same short-cropped brown hair. His stomach twisted. You shouldn't be here. The voice came from behind the pole. An old man dressed in layered rags, eyes milky with cataracts. They follow the ones who walk alone after dark, especially the marked ones. What the hell are you talking about? Mark asked, his voice trembling. You've been tagged. You heard it call your name, didn't you? Now it sees you. The man took a step back, vanishing into a doorway before Mark could respond. Something scraped behind him. He turned and saw a figure at the far end of the street. Not walking. Standing. Still. Then it took a step forward, slow, almost mechanical. He couldn't see its face, just the outline, human in form but wrong in proportions. Too tall, shoulders too wide, limbs too long. He turned and ran, sprinting down side streets, ducking under rusted scaffolding, nearly tripping over a pile of broken bricks. Every time he looked back, the thing was closer, moving with inhuman smoothness, never running, always gaining. He burst into a narrow tunnel that ran under an old railway bridge, the air inside colder than outside, like stepping into a freezer. At the other end of the tunnel, he saw a door ajar, light spilling out into the street. He ran for it and slammed it shut behind him. Inside was a stairwell leading down into what looked like a basement. No time to think. He descended, 2 steps at a time. The light disappeared once the door shut, plunging him into darkness, but he kept going, using the wall to feel his way down. At the bottom was a large open room lit only by the dim red glow of a failing emergency light. It looked like an old maintenance station. Rows of rusted lockers, broken vending machines, a metal door with bolts that looked like it hadn't been opened in years. Mark tried to breathe quietly, hiding behind a row of lockers. For a moment, there was nothing but the sound of his pulse. Then, footsteps above. Slow, deliberate, getting closer. The door creaked open. He held his breath. Something stepped into the room. It wasn't breathing. He could hear every step, wet, dragging. Like it had bare feet coated in something slick. It stopped just beyond the lockers. Then silence. Mark's lungs were burning, but he didn't dare inhale. A low clicking sound began, like bone tapping against metal. Then a wet sniffing. It was smelling the air. It was hunting him. His mind raced. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the small utility knife he carried. Not much, but it was something. Suddenly, the lockers shuddered. Something slammed into them from the other side. He scrambled backward as they toppled over, revealing the creature. Its face was a blur of wrongness. No eyes, just skin stretched tight, with a slit for a mouth that opened in a silent scream. It lunged. He slashed wildly, catching its arm. The thing recoiled, not in pain, but in confusion, like it wasn't used to resistance. He bolted for the metal door at the back, twisting the rusted wheel until it gave with a shriek. He dove through and pulled it shut behind him, sliding the bolts into place just as the creature slammed against it. He was in another corridor, this one even older, leading to a set of maintenance tunnels under the city. The smell of mold and decay was suffocating. But he moved forward. Every 10 steps he heard the thing behind the door, pounding, shrieking without sound, its presence pressing against the metal. He wandered for what felt like hours, navigating the labyrinth by instinct. Eventually, he saw light, a broken grate leading up into a sidewalk. He climbed and pushed it open, emerging into an alley soaked by recent rain. He didn't stop running until he reached a 24-hour diner, collapsing in a booth, eyes wild, clothes torn, hands shaking. The waitress stared but said nothing. When he asked for a phone, she gave it to him wordlessly. He called the police, told them someone had chased him. They came, searched the old tunnel access, found nothing. No door, no lockers, just sealed concrete. They said the area had been condemned and sealed off for 20 years. But Mark knew what he saw, knew what followed him. He never took that shortcut again, never walked alone after dark. But sometimes, when his phone is about to die and the shadows stretch long on the sidewalk, he hears it again. Just once. His name,